Welcome back to Enotri Kitchen. Today we're making another recipe for pairing with our wines that we have here. Today we're making a simple lemon pasta. Has bucatini as well as some shrimp that we're cooking. Really simple with shallots, lemon, parmesan, and some capers. And since we're with Enotri, I guess I better add some wine as well, and might even add some to the dish as well. We'll see. All right, well, we are about to dig into our lunch here today. We're having a bucatini pasta with lemon sauce, olive oil, some capers, red peppers, shrimp, and some parsley for garnish. Really fresh, bright, easy to put together, people-pleasing food, I think. And I'm about to pair it with the Petit Mansan, which is typically a French variety, but we are having it grown in the Lazio region instead. I like this wine a lot. It pairs really well with a lemon forward dish, even though I wouldn't say it has a lot of lemon notes in it. It has a lot of freshness, brightness, minerality, bitterness, a little bit of fruity, and spiciness, but I wouldn't say it's lemon forward, and I think it's a really fun way to pair with a lemon pasta.
And actually this is from Casale del Giglio, a very, very interesting project. Casale del Giglio, in terms of winery, is a fairly young project. It was started by Antonio Santarelli's grandfather. And then Antonio, after closing down their wine merchant business in the center of Rome, they then bought these vineyards outside of Rome, about 45 minutes southwest of it, close to the Mediterranean. And then in the 1980s, when Antonio joined the family business, he brought his friend in, Pablo Tiefenthaler from Trentino. And that gentleman is a genius. He's one of the most highly respected enologists in Italy. So he joined the business, and together with his friend Antonio, they looked at the lay of the land, discovered certain properties in the soil. And while they are, one of their strengths is the traditional ancient Roman grape varieties such as Bellone for white wine, Cesanese for red wine, and they do fantastic versions of those two grape varieties. They applied for and got approval from the Italian government to use specific parts of their very fertile vineyards to experiment with internationally grown known grapes, such as Merlot, Cabernet Sauvignon, certainly Syrah, Tempranillo, but also things like Petit Verdot, originally from Bordeaux, and Petit Mansan, originally from the southwest part of France. So in France, it's mainly known for specialized dessert wines like Jurançon and Madiran, but they are making a dry version out of this grape variety. It is beautiful, beautiful complexity. You chose also wine from France?
I did. This one's a bit of an experiment, even just for myself. I chose the orange Chardonnay from Ricardel, and even most orange wines are quite tangy and unique themselves, so I figured it'd be kind of interesting to pair it with a dish that is tangy. It has those capers and the freshness of all of the herbs and stuff on top, and yeah.
Should be interesting. And Ricardel de Lautrec, so this is Lionel Boutier. He is a direct descendant, I think 5 generations apart, from the famous French artist Toulouse-Lautrec. So the family he was active and he lived in Paris mainly, turn of the 19th to the 20th century, very much involved in the art scene. And but the family already at that time had the vineyards in the Languedoc area. So when Lionel took over the business 20-some years ago, together with his wife Kati, he actually introduced the concept of biodynamic, not organic, but biodynamic viticulture into the area. He was the first one to do so. So he was considered to be a little crazy and a bit of a rebel, but that did not deter him and his family of following the biodynamic core. So all his wines are biodynamically certified, part of the Demeter organization. Also a very interesting label concept here. So being part of the artistic family of Toulouse-Lautrec, they're very much into the art scene. And the label, they came across a female artist by the last name of Fauve. Coincidentally, Fauvism is also the art form that you see depicted on this particular label. So that came around in the days of Toulouse-Lautrec. Vibrant colors, no real boundaries in terms of how the artist wanted to express his or her feeling about a certain scene of your daily life, and that is what it is. Vibrant colors, no boundaries, depicting scenes of your day-to-day life. So they came across this female artist Fauve at a recent art exhibition, got to talk to her, fell in love with her art, and convinced her to develop a series of labels for that particular range, and that is the one that you have in your glass. It's the Sen number 5. We also have a Sen 3 with a Rosé, the Sen 2 with the Pinot Noir, and the Cabernet Sauvignon, Sen 1. So basically saying scene 1, 2, 3, 5, different scenes of our day-to-day life. So there's this connection of where a label is not just meant to be eye-catching, but it tells a story.
Sure.
It tells the story of the family and the connection to the art. So it'll be interesting to see how this. Normally I'm not into orange wines, and normally when we show this wine and another orange wine that we have in our portfolio to our customers, people will say, "What? Eberhard is bringing an orange wine?" And then they taste it and say, "Now we understand."
Right.
Because these actually taste good. So what I decided, because the two of you took my first two choices, so I went to South Africa. I went to our friend Neil Ellis. His son Warren is now looking after the enological duties, vineyard management and winemaking. This particular 100% Sauvignon Blanc is from the Groene Kloof vineyards on the Western Cape side. I first came across this wine 21 years ago, fell in love with it immediately, and it's a kind of love story that hasn't ended. We'll see. It's a nice transition between, you know, the Bordeaux style,
Right,
Sancerre, and it's certainly leaning more towards the European style of Sauvignon Blanc and not to the
New Zealand.
very fruity, driven cat piss on a gooseberry bush kind
Right.
of New Zealand style. In general, Neil Ellis, they do wines following European traditions, but with this unmistakable touch of South African terroir and diversity. So we'll see how this goes.
I always think of lemon pasta and Sauv Blanc, but I usually go for New Zealand. I like the really sharp, the really green, but this is much more balanced.
It has such a beautiful complexity.
Mm-hmm.
But like I said, it will not fall apart in your glass.
Mhm.
Sometimes, without mentioning any names, very popular New Zealand Sauvignon Blancs, the first glass is wonderful, and then it just kind of disappears after a while, or it gets boring.
Mm-hmm.
I have to admit I'm biased, right? I fell in love with the Stellenbosch growing region when I was there 21 years ago. I love Cape Town. My parents almost emigrated to Southwest Africa before we came to Canada. So there's all of that, and I can have this wine with steak and will not pour it down the sink simply because I love the wine.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So, but I think in this particular case, it works rather well with this well put together pasta dish. All the components that you described, Colson, are there without one overpowering the other. So we once again talk about balance and harmony. The orange wine, especially it's Chardonnay, so you might think Chardonnay could be a little bit too rich, too big. Not at all. It shows the touch and the delicacy of Lionel as an enologist. It also works rather well. I think the richness in the Petit Manseng is for me, it's the richest of the three. It goes well with the shrimp.
Mm-hmm.
So how do we assess this wrong with wines, food pairing wise?
Good. Fun way to show 3 different whites. A sharper, more traditional pairing with a white pasta. Kind of like a rounder, I mean, it's a little bit rich because of the temperature right now, but really interesting pairing. A little bit more round, for sure. That's how I'll describe that one, for sure.
Okay.
On this one, I like the minerality of this one.
Mm-hmm.
The complexity of all the different flavors that are in there. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think I pretty much agree. Like all of them went really well. Definitely, like you said earlier, the petite maison definitely works like really well with the shrimp, and that kind of brings out all of that. The freshness of it and everything like that, and works really well with all of the herbs and the peppers inside.
I agree. It was not a bad choice in here. And once again, I know I sound like a broken record, but that is the characteristic of our portfolio. That there is a harmony in all the wines, and you can't go wrong, right? It's 3 different wines with 3 different distinct characteristics, but they all work well.
Right.
And that is how life should be.
When the food's in harmony and the wine's in harmony, they go together pretty good. Pretty hard to pick a bad one.
This is why harmony matters.
Right.
Cheers.